Thank you for your speech. Very impressive and inspired. At last, allow us ask some questions. Okay?
Some of the questions that I want to ask you. The first is, we know in our society, the knowledge is actually very important. So the education is very important also in our life. But according to your saying, the research is very weak. Why? As I know, probably it comes from the undeveloped country. Probably their research is so good. But as I know, the World Bank have spent a lot of money for the education.
There's a difference between education and international education, right? Education generally has a content. This is what I started out with. Education generally has a content, a knowledge base that you teach. You teach the knowledge of something, of computers or biology or history or language. International education isn't content-based. It's process-based. And as a consequence, it's hard to study. Let me give you a very simple illustration. How do I know when I send a student overseas and they come back what the impact of that international education has been? I can measure whether they know more about Taiwan. You know, I can ask them, before they leave, I can say, where is Taiwan? And they say, oh, Thailand, that's down next to Malaysia, right? And when they come back, they say, oh, Taiwan, it's across the Taiwan. I can measure that. But how can I measure their change of attitude, their change of behavior? I mean, you can do it, but it's a very, very difficult social science study to do it well. It requires longitudinal research, research over time. It requires comparative groups, people who go overseas and people who don't go overseas. I mean, the creation of a research study to do research on the impact of international education is a very difficult process. And most people who do international education are more simply believe it. They simply believe that international education is good, and they are engaged in trying to do more of it. So there's not much research because, in part, it's not a content-based discipline.
Okay, the second, according to your statistic data, okay, the Taiwan students in studying in the USA is little by little, but the number of students that come from China is high and high. Can you tell me why?
That's a pretty easy answer. The number of Taiwan students going to the United States is declining for two basic reasons. One reason is there are more universities in Taiwan. So there's more places in Taiwan. 30 years ago, there weren't a lot of places. 30 years ago, some people went to the United States because there weren't places in Taiwan. I guess there's three reasons, actually. A second reason is the universities in Taiwan are a lot better than they were 30 years ago. So there's a lot better places to study. Your institution is one. Okay? The third reason is the Taiwan birth rate is going like this. Taiwan has one of the lowest birth rates, if not the lowest in the world. So there are fewer students. The number of Chinese students is going like this because there aren't enough Chinese universities, because China started from a position of 0 in 1990, or almost 0, and because China has gotten very rich. So China can now afford to send students to America. So lack of places in China for people, money in China to be able to go to America, lots of students. I mean, it's just the opposite of Taiwan.
Well, I think the same situation in the United Kingdom, as I know, maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, probably most of the students to start in the United Kingdom is probably they come from Taiwan. But right now, most of the most important university, probably the people come from the China, not the come from the Taiwan. So probably it's the same.
It is.
Okay, the last. Actually, I want to ask you many questions, but I suppose give the other chance. The last, okay? We know the English is very important. You say I do remember the last suggestion is learning a language, right? Learning a language. Is English?
Is English a language?
Uh-huh.
Of course.
Well, that I want to say. The language is the Indonesian language. Why? Maybe everybody say English is the Indonesian language, but you have a chance to go around in Latin America, you find English actually is nothing because nobody speaks English.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
the most important language is the language of the country you're in.
Yeah, and right now, as I know, that actually the Mandarin is very important again and again.
The importance of Mandarin is growing dramatically. There's a huge demand in America for Mandarin, and that's true all over the world. English is an important language for basically two reasons. One reason is that there are English speakers, native English speakers, all over the world. So Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, India, Philippines. I mean, there are sets. It's not isolated like Germany to one place. Obviously, part of that is the colonial heritage of Great Britain, India, right? Or the colonial heritage of America, the Philippines, right? So that's one reason English is a kind of a global language. A second reason, I'm told, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm told that English is easier to learn than, for instance, German or French. I grew up learning English, so I don't know.
So according to you saying, the English is very easy to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
But probably the other countries not think so. Anyway, someone say you can speak English and you can speak the Spanish and the Mandarin, and then you can go around in the world. How do you think?
I think that's true.
Thank you.
I'm Johnny Liu. I'm an associate professor in National Open University of Taiwan, and I was impressed by your speech, and you inspired me to study abroad because I never studied abroad. So you mentioned about that you encourage people, for those who never been to study abroad, to do research overseas. And I want to ask a practical question, because if I want to apply maybe financial support from the Fulbright, and you say that it was competitive, right? And what kind of criteria or key point you will consider to give which applicant the financial support?
It's a standard kind of application process. You're required to fill out a fairly long application, letters of recommendation, samples of your writing, your research, much like you would for a National Science Council grant. In terms of key things to talk about, I'll give you some. I can't provide insider information, right? But I can provide you some comments about mistakes people make. Well, one mistake people make is that they don't actually answer the questions. They take another application that they've done for something else and they kind of cut it and they put it in, rather than just looking at the questions that are asked and actually answering the questions. So that's a mistake some people make. Another mistake some people make is they assume that because they are very senior, they'll get the grant. Everybody knows I'm good, I'll get the grant. Well, no, it has to be a good application. So you need to do a good application. And the third thing, Fulbright, remember the Fulbright vision, a world with a little more knowledge and a little less conflict. A little more knowledge and a little less conflict. It's about two things. It's about exchanging cultures and building knowledge. So you want to say in your application how what you're going to do is going to help Taiwanese understand America and Americans understand Taiwan. So when I come back, I'm planning to lecture on such and such. I'm planning to change my courses in this way. I'm planning to whatever it is you're going to do, it's not just good enough to say, I'm going to go and do this important research. We also need to know that there's going to be a cross-cultural component to what you do. The research has to be legitimate. It will be judged by your peers, right? It's a peer review process. So if you're proposing to go and do something that everybody else would say, that's stupid, then you won't get a grant. Okay? So it has to be legitimate research. I guess the other key point is, does it have to be done in America? I mean, some people say, I want to go to America to look at these databases, and the databases are from the World Bank, and you can sit in your office in Taiwan and look at those databases. Why go to America? You know, there should be a reason for going to America to do the research. Maybe the best archives are in America. Maybe the 3 key professors that you have to work with are in America. Maybe you want to collect data. Maybe it is comparative research. I don't know what your area is, but if your area was education, maybe you want to study the impact of language training on first graders in America and Taiwan. Well, then you have to do research on American first graders, right? You can't do that from Taiwan. So that's something that many people forget, is that just because it's going to be great research, if you can sit in your office in Taiwan and do it, that's why go to America. The answer I get is, I'm so busy in Taiwan, I've got so much to do that I can't find any time to do the research. I need to get away to do the research. Well, yes, that's absolutely true. I understand that, but that's not a good reason for me to give you a grant. Right? It's not a good reason for me to give you a grant to go to America. Did that help?
So maybe you will see the research achievement or the background of the people. So now I understand the key points for the cultural exchange.
But of course, the research achievement, the backgrounds of the people, the letters of recommendation from their colleagues, their deans, their advisors, those are all standard parts of an application. Okay. They have to be good. What I was trying to tell you is that these are other things that sometimes people don't think about that need to be there as well.
Okay. Thank you. Very helpful.
Okay, Fulbright Scholar Change Foundation in Taiwan has more than 50 years and offers so many opportunities for Taiwan scholars to go to the United States for research or exchange. And our university, National Open University, has more than 25 years. But right now, only 3 scholars be approved by Fulbright Scholar Exchange. One is Wu Huxin, and the other is Li Yinjie and me. And
congratulations.
And actually, I got the Fulbright grant in 2000 and 2001 to the UC Berkeley. It's indeed a very wonderful experience in my life, because I don't need to teach or work in my university, and my university pay me the full year's salary. And I got the National Science Council scholarship and Fulbright scholarship. Even the Fulbright scholarship is very, it's not so, very
Henshaw.
Yeah. But it gives me the opportunity to study and to research in the United States. So I encourage my co-worker, my colleague, to apply Fulbright scholarship. And I suggest that Dr. Walker, if anyone, National Open University staff or faculty to apply, please give the Open University a special preference. Because right now we only three faculty to approve the Fulbright scholarship. Yeah.
Let me make a couple of simple comments. One thing we've done since you got your scholarship is that, or at least I've done since I've been here, is I've increased the amount of money for Taiwanese. I actually decreased the amount of money for Americans. But we increased the amount of money that Taiwanese get. So now they get, it's still not a lot, but it's more helpful. Yes. Secondly, the Fulbright grant for Taiwanese scholars is designed to help cover the living cost differences between Taiwan and America. It's not designed to give you a whole year's pay, because we assume that you will get a sabbatical here, or that you will get a National Science Council grant, or that you will get both, but it's designed to help top up, to make the difference between living in America and living in Taiwan. So that's the second point. And the third point is that I think 30 years ago, almost all of the Fulbright grants went to Academia Sinica, Taida, Zhengda, Zhengong. That's not true today. We have tried very hard to make sure that other universities knew about Fulbright. Many didn't. And we take grants on the basis of merit. One of the largest, one of the universities that got the most grants this year was National Central University, right? Which is not, I mean, it's a very good school, but it's not Taida, right? So we're taking grants on the basis of merit. So, of course, we will consider applications from National Open University, but they have to be good applications. And we will take the best applications, and if there are none from Academia Sinica that are good enough, we won't take them. We would prefer to actually we would prefer to have a geographic distribution. But if it turns out that all of the applications are from National Open University, and they are all good, we would take all of them, right? We do about 30 every year. So we have no requirement that 2 have to go here and 3 have to go there, and there has to be 1 at Zhengong. We have no requirements like that.
Only the faculty can apply the Fulbright, or if the staff. I think some staff in our university.
Yes, we have grants that are called non-academic professionals. I think it was up here, but I didn't point it out. Non-academic professionals mean we have people from the Ministry of Education, we have people from the Taiwan Taida Hospital, we've had people from, well, the founder of Cloudgate Dance Company. We've had people who are in other areas which are not considered professorial areas, but are scholarship areas that we give grants to. Yes, so yes, they are others are eligible as well. Of course, professors here would have a chance. It will depend upon your application. I mean, my answer is anybody who has the academic credentials at any university in Taiwan has a chance for a grant. We hope to be able to support. Let me say this way: there is a small prejudice on the committee for people who are not at the, quote, top universities. There is a small prejudice in favor of regional diversity and in favor of university diversity. So if we had a grant from somebody from Taida and somebody from National Open University and they were equal, couldn't decide, there wasn't anything to decide between the two, we would probably give it to National Open University, because there's a desire to spread that knowledge across all of Taiwan. But of course, things are never completely equal, right? So there is a small prejudice in your favor. Small. Henshao. Feichangshao. The conditions are the same, and we hope that we get good applications from everywhere. That's one of the, actually, the reason I accepted your kind invitation was because I wanted to come to someplace we hadn't been. I can't give you any more information than I have given you about applications, because then I'm providing an advantage to you, which I should provide to every other group of faculty around Taiwan. I have to tell you what I told you, and then encourage you to go to the website and look up the application. I'm sorry, I'd like to, but you know, I also have a lot of friends in academia, and they ask the same and they ask the same question, and I have to tell them the same thing. I can't provide you, and there is no insider information available. Okay, that's why Fulbright Taiwan is a foundation and not run by the American by AIT, by the de facto American embassy. It's because they believe we do things on the basis of merit. And it's true, we do things on the basis of merit. People don't always agree with us, but we do things on the basis of merit.
Right, Grant, but I just curious because I worry about my children. So I'm wondering if you have any family arrangement, like if my children are going to kindergarten or elementary school, or the grant prefer the candidate just to do the research alone. I mean,
we have lots of people who go overseas and take their families with them. That's always a financial issue because it costs more, right? We provide lump sum amounts of money up to, I think it's 13,000 American dollars. To get a Fulbright grant, you usually need a letter of invitation from an institution in America. If you don't have a letter of invitation, the Council for the Exchange of the Council for the International Exchange of Scholars, CIES, in America, which is a nonprofit, if you apply for Fulbright and if you are accepted, they will help you find a placement. Okay? So if you want to go and you're accepted and your grant's good enough, but you're not sure where you want to go, it makes your grant better if you know where you want to go, right? You know you want to go to this university to work with this professor and this data set, etc. But if you don't know where you want to go, CIES will help you with a placement. At the universities, all American universities, particularly large research universities, have international offices that are very good. And those international offices will usually help you with advice on housing, schools, etc. Okay? There are 4,000 universities in America. We don't have the capacity to know about schools and housing, etc. at all the universities people would go to.
so the best is we can find the institution first to do the research. If we can find that, then we can arrange.
We don't arrange that.
Oh, okay. So then I apply.
The best way to do the process is to first know what research you want to do. Secondly, know where you would like to do it. Contact that institution, a professor, a dean, whoever. Write them and say, I would like to come do research. Will you support me? Some places don't try to go to Harvard. Some places like Harvard have so many requests that they charge people to come and do research. You have to pay to get a library card at Harvard. Okay? Choose a place where there are professors or others who are working on what you are working on. Okay? So whatever you're working on, you've read the research, you know the professors who are writing it, write one of them and say, I'm doing this, I would like to work on this. Would you be able to sponsor me? You don't have to pay any money. Would you be able to sponsor me as a research fellow at your institution? What I need from you is I need a desk and a library card and a computer. Yeah, I need a space. I need a place. I need a place to work. I need access to the library. I need access to the computer system. Maybe you need to do SPSS or statistics or something, and you need a big computer to do that. Maybe if they like what you're doing, they have research money, and maybe they will provide you with a research assistant. Maybe they would provide you with a stipend, but that's not likely. It happens, but it's not likely. But if you have that as part of your proposal, I'm going to go to the University of Arkansas, and the reason I've chosen Arkansas is that these two people at Arkansas are doing work that's directly related to what I'm doing, and I know their research, and I've been in correspondence with them, and they want to have me come. That's a great proposal, right? Because you've got a reason to be there, not just, wow, I want to go to America. Okay? How?
Ask you last question.
Last question. Okay.
Yeah, last question. We will put your speech on a YouTube channel for public use.
That's very
and
scary.
Non-profit purpose.
Very scary.
Thank you for your kind. This is the last question. Thank you again, Dr. Vocke.
Thank you.
For your speech. Last question.